Welcome back to Royals Corner, where we bring you the most intriguing stories, scandals, and secrets from inside the palace walls. I'm so glad you're here today because what we're about to discuss is absolutely explosive. Before we dive in, if you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you never miss an update on the royal family's most talked about moments. Trust me, you'll want to be in the loop for this one. Now, imagine this. You're one of the most powerful monarchs in the world. You've just inherited the throne, and your first major challenge isn't a constitutional crisis or a political scandal, it's your own brother. A brother whose reputation has become so toxic that his very presence threatens the monarchy you've spent your entire life preparing to protect. What do? Well, if you're King Charles III, you make a move so calculated, so strategic, that it's being called the ultimate royal checkmate. And that move, relocating Prince Andrew to Sandringham. But this isn't about giving Andrew a quaint country retreat. Oh no, this is about containment, control, and keeping the monarchy's most controversial figure as far from the spotlight as possible. Let me explain exactly what's happening behind those palace gates. For years, Prince Andrew has been the royal family's biggest headache. From his catastrophic BBC interview about his friendship with convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein to the subsequent legal settlements and public disgrace, Andrew has gone from the Queen's favorite son to the family's most carefully managed liability. And when Queen Elizabeth II passed away in September 2022, the question on everyone's mind wasn't just who would be king, it was what would happen to Andrew. Enter King Charles III, a man who has spent decades thinking about how to modernize and streamline the monarchy. Charles understands something fundamental. In the age of social media and 24-hour news cycles, perception is everything. One wrong move, one poorly timed photograph, one ill-advised public appearance by Andrew could undo years of careful reputation management. So Charles had to act decisively. The Sandringham move is pure genius when you understand what it really represents. On the surface, it looks like a generous gesture. Andrew gets to live on one of the royal family's most prestigious estates in Norfolk. But look closer, and you'll see this is actually a gilded cage. Sandringham is remote, isolated, and crucially, it's private royal property that Charles controls completely. By moving Andrew there, Charles achieves several objectives simultaneously. First, he gets Andrew out of Royal Lodge in Windsor, that sprawling 30-room mansion that had become a symbol of Andrew's refusal to accept his diminished status. Andrew had been clinging to Royal Lodge like a life raft, reportedly refusing to leave despite mounting pressure. The property is expensive to maintain, highly visible, and sits on the Crown Estate, prime real estate that could be better used for working royals. Charles needed Andrew out, and Sandringham provided the perfect solution. Second, the move to Sandringham effectively quarantines Andrew from the center of royal life. Windsor is close to London, close to the action, close to opportunities for Andrew to somehow insert himself back into public view. Sandringham, it's in rural Norfolk, hours away from the capital. There are no impromptu appearances at church services that attract media attention. No convenient proximity to royal events. Andrew is, quite literally, out of sight and out of mind. But here's where it gets really interesting. The property Andrew is reportedly being offered at Sandringham isn't even the main house, it's Wood Farm, a relatively modest 5-bedroom cottage on the estate. This is the same property where Prince Philip spent much of his retirement, living quietly away from public attention. The message Charles is sending couldn't be clearer. Andrew's public life is over. This is retirement, whether Andrew wants to accept it or not. What makes this move so brilliant from Charles's perspective is that it's virtually impossible to criticize publicly. How can Andrew complain about being given a home on a beautiful royal estate? How can he claim he's being mistreated when he's being offered the same cottage that was good enough for his own father? Charles has managed to sideline his brother while maintaining plausible deniability about his true intentions. It's not punishment, it's family care. It's not exile, it's a generous housing arrangement. But everyone who understands royal dynamics knows exactly what this really is. The timing is significant too. Charles has been king for less than 2 years, and he's already reshaping the monarchy in fundamental ways. He's reduced the number of working royals, he's opened up royal properties to greater public access, and he's consistently emphasized that the monarchy must earn public trust through service and dignity. Andrew represents the opposite of everything Charles is trying to build. Every day Andrew remains in the public eye, even peripherally, undermines the king's vision. There's also a financial element at play. The monarchy is facing increasing scrutiny over public funding, and maintaining multiple large properties for non-working royals simply doesn't make sense in the current climate. By consolidating Andrew at Sandringham, a private estate owned by the monarch personally, Charles removes him from properties funded by or associated with the crown estate. It's a practical move that also happens to serve a strategic purpose. Of course, reports suggest Andrew isn't going quietly. He's reportedly resisted leaving Royal Lodge, argued about the downgrade in accommodation, and pushed back against his diminished status. But here's the reality: Andrew has no leverage. His reputation is destroyed, he has no public role, and most importantly, he depends entirely on Charles's financial support. The sovereign grant that once funded Andrew's lifestyle, gone. His security detail, stripped away. Andrew exists now entirely at his brother's discretion, and Charles holds all the cards. So what we're witnessing is a masterclass in royal damage control. King Charles is solving the Andrew problem not through dramatic confrontation or public scandal, but through quiet, methodical isolation. Sandringham isn't just a new home for Prince Andrew, it's a carefully constructed prison of privilege, designed to keep the monarchy's most toxic member contained, controlled, and away from the cameras. The question now is whether this strategy will work long-term, or whether Andrew will find new ways to create problems for his brother's reign. What do you think? Is Charles being too harsh, or is this exactly what the monarchy needs? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this deep dive into royal strategy, give this video a thumbs up and share it with anyone who's fascinated by what really goes on behind palace walls. And remember, subscribe to Royals Corner for more exclusive insights into the world's most famous family. Until next time, keep watching, keep wondering, and keep questioning what the royals really don't want you to know.